I do really believe 100% from every part of me that everyone has the capacity to be able to do the things that they want and not to be held back by the mental baggage that's in our head that we want to push through.
Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. In each episode, we get down and personal with people who go after the things they want to make all their wildest dreams come true. Join us as we unveil and dissect a formula for what it takes to do the thing. Here is your host, Stacey Lauren.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. I am so excited for you guys to meet today's guest. Her mom is actually my esthetician, and when she told me about her daughter, I had to interview her. Her story is extremely inspirational. After realizing how unhappy she was, she left a good accounting job to follow her passion. She so badly wanted to turn her hobby into a career, and she dove in headfirst, even without knowing the exact path she would take. She faced a lot of pushback from those around her. There is so much that I love about her story. From discovering her heart's desires, to leaving a job she hated, to building a loyal following, she is now one of the leading beauty influencers and makes her career out of something that she loves with a passion. Please welcome Olia to the show. Hi, Olia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining. I'm so excited to get a chance to talk to you.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you.
Well, I'd love to, just as we get started, if you could just share about you and your story.
Yeah, so basically right now what I do, I'm a style beauty blogger, influencer. I was born in Florida, currently in California. This is not at all what I was planning on doing with my life. Kind of just fell into this as it was a hobby that I started doing, and it just kind of turned into a job. And I'm sure we're going to go more into that, but I have 2 dogs. I just have a beautiful home, and I'm kind of a homebody.
So you talked about being what you do now is you're a style and beauty blogger and an influencer. So how did that start?
Yeah. So I was actually, I went to school to college for accounting, which is completely opposite. And I did that whole thing, got my degree, and I started working in the field. And long story short, realized that it just really wasn't something I wanted to do with my life. And when I decided to make a change, I talked to my mom, who's a licensed esthetician and had her own business. And she had always wanted me to come work with her. And when I was a little stubborn when I was younger, and she had always said to me, come work with me. I said, no, I want to find my own, thing. I want to go into business. And that's what I did. And I regretted it after. And so she was like, well, if you want, you can still do this, and you can go back to school, become an esthetician. And so I decided that's what I was going to do. And I went back to school, but I had a job. I had an accounting job. I couldn't just stop. I had a mortgage already. I had a lot of responsibilities. So I was kind of juggling the two for a little bit. And when I finally got my license to be an esthetician, I decided to just quit my other job. Worked with my mom. And when I was working with my mom, probably about, I would say maybe 6-7 months into it, I started this blog. And at the time, it was when Instagram did not exist. It was basically Facebook and Twitter. And it was more people just had blogs, websites where they would just share things. And that's what I kind of did. And mine was just very amateur at first. I would just share what I was like wearing and outfits and things I liked. And eventually it just kind of grew. I started to get people who would reach out and ask if they could send me some product. And that was great for me because at the time I was young. I've never had anybody send me anything. So I thought that was something amazing. And so that's what I did. And I just kind of kept doing that, working as an esthetician and then blogging at night. and kept that going for a while. And eventually it just turned into what it is now. And I no longer work with her. And this is what it is now. It's my full-time job.
I love that you just were pretty much just following your what your interests were. And then it's converted now into your career, basically.
Absolutely. I always tell that to people is it's crazy when it's not even crazy. It's totally doable, is that when you find something you just love, you can actually turn it into something you can find a way to make that a career or make money doing what you love to do. Once you can find that, it's like you'll never work a day in your life. I mean, you do, but it's different. It feels different.
Yeah, because it's coming from a fulfilled place, not that I need to do this place.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something about originally when you were finishing and you went to college, you got your accounting degree, and then your mom had said, "Come work for me." And then you had said you were going into business. Was that you getting your accounting job, or was there a business or something in between there?
No, so that was actually beforehand when I was I think it was either in high school or in college, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. You're so young at that time. It's really hard to know when you're, I don't know what age that is, 17 years old, when people start asking you, okay, so what are you doing? What are you going to do? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be this? Do you want to do this? I have no idea. I'm so young. I don't know what I want to do. And I think that is a really intimidating thing. So the one thing that I was trying to figure out was I would ask my mom, what should I do? And she was like, well, you should come work with me. And I had been around her as an esthetician for so long. My whole life, I've been surrounded with her as having this business and skincare and all of this. So I kind of knew the business in a way, but I was being stubborn to be, no, I've already seen this. I don't want to do what you do. I want to do something new. Like, I want to go into business. I want to be an accountant. I don't know what I was thinking in my head, to be honest, but I don't want to do what my mom does. And it's so funny looking back because my mom was completely right, because that's the one thing that actually did make me happy in the end, was doing what my mom thought would have been something I enjoyed doing.
Isn't that funny? It's like you had to go your own way, though, in order to be able to find that. Otherwise, if you would have followed without going your own path first, then you might have been resentful, not knowing what you
absolutely
didn't try it.
Yeah, and like you have to figure it out your own way and like almost fail, or not even fail, but just be so unhappy to. And I remember having that call to her, and I was I felt like embarrassed in a weird way. I hate this. I don't know what to do, and lost. Just wow! I just went to college for this, and I have this great job. I work at a firm, and I'm making a salary, but I'm just so unfulfilled. I'm so unhappy. I remember just sitting at my little cubicle for 8-9 hours a day and staring at the clock and just wanting to leave so badly every single day. And it was just, and I remember every Sunday just dreading that it was Sunday, because the next day was Monday and I had to go back to work. And I was just like, I can't live my life like this. I'm only 22 years old and I'm going to live the rest of my life just hating what I do every single day. And to think that there actually are some people who probably do feel like that is crazy to me, because I just could not do it.
Yeah. And it's almost like, as you were saying that, I'm like, I know that there's a lot of people that they're unhappy and then they're just staying there, not thinking there's another way.
Right.
How did you make that shift? Was it just you being able to call your mom and her being able to like give you advice, or was there something else that happened that got you to be able to make the move over to the over into becoming a licensed esthetician? Oh my God, I cannot say the word.
Esthetician.
A licensed esthetician.
I don't know, honestly. I think I've always just been the type that has been, I want this, I'm going to do it. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. if they think I'm, losing my mind, if I'm an idiot, whatever, I'm just going to go for it. And I just remember that phone call, and I just know that I can't live my life like this. And I've always wanted to build like a really great life for myself. And I just told myself, I'm at an age right now where I can take chances. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I don't have I was young at that time, and this was the time for me to just explore. And if I failed in something else, the worst thing was I have a degree I can go back to and I can figure it out. Like so many people start. I was very young, looking back, I was probably 22, 23 when I went to get my license, or I got my license to be an esthetician. So, looking back on it, it is so young that if that didn't work out, I was still so young to go back to accounting or try to do something else. But I think we put so much pressure on ourselves that it just it's too late all the time. We always think like, oh, it's too late. And I say like, I don't have kids, but I think there's still a way, even if you do have kids, it's never too late. It just might be more work. But I had it in my head that I don't want to be miserable. I want to enjoy what I do. I want to be happy. And I know if I'm happy, I'll be more successful. And I think if I stayed doing what I was doing, I would just make ends meet. I don't think I would have been extremely successful. I think I would just be paying the bills and just going to work and coming home. And the way I am now, it's like I'm going above and beyond, and I can make a better life for myself, if that makes sense.
And I'm also wondering, how do you think, because I'm imagining you having gotten this degree, an accounting degree, which that's not an easy degree to get. And then you get a good job in the accounting field. And then you're right, there had to be people potentially that would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And how did you just trust yourself, not listen to that noise of people around you? And I actually don't know if there was noise around you, but how did you do that?
Oh, yeah, I did. Even my family. And my mom has always been super supportive, but I do remember my mom was like, well, maybe you should just get another accounting job, or maybe it's just the one you're at. And then I remember my dad was kind of disappointed because my dad was so happy for me to be an accountant. My dad has always been the type, he's very supportive of what I do, but in his mind, it was either be a doctor, a dentist, a accountant, a lawyer, something like that. So it was kind of disappointing when I don't like this and I don't want to do this anymore. And I think I'm going to be an esthetician. But at the end of the day, you're young, you try what you want to do, and you have your degree to come back to, and you have to enjoy what you want to do. And that was, I think I just zoned it out. I've always been really good about zoning people out and what they think. And I do feel like a lot of people will take what others think almost to heart and almost let that block them from doing a lot of things. And I think that's where you have to just be able to do things for you rather than other people. So that's one thing that I think I've always been really good at is just, I have gone through so many embarrassing things with my blog. I've taken photos by myself on a tripod outside while people are driving by, probably thinking in their head, this girl is nuts. And I just don't care. I know what I'm doing, but if they can judge me all they want. So it's weird, but you just got to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I really like that. Is there anything that you say to yourself with that?
In those moments, I'm just do it for you. Who cares what other people think? It's just kind of this mental thing I just put in my head as I'm doing something else. So I don't know if it's something I just have something in my head that like, it's almost like this little voice in my head that's telling me, keep going, don't care. You'll show them. One day you're going to show those people. And they're going to be like, wow. And that's exactly what I did. And I totally remember I've had this in multiple different things. It was when I quit accounting, when I quit being an esthetician to just blog. People thought I was nuts. When that happened, they were like, you're going to quit your job to be a blogger? That was the weirdest thing people thought. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. And so you just got to go with it. You trust yourself, the best. And when you you start to let other people's doubts get into your head, that's when you start to doubt yourself. So you just got to trust yourself and what you've been doing. And then you just that's what I do is I tell myself what I'm going to show every one of these people how good I can do, like in this moment.
Yeah. So I interviewed another blogger who was a food blogger. And then I had some people want to know more details about how that even works. Because I think people have a conceptual idea of of what it is you do, but I'd love to get more in detail of how it all works.
Yeah. When I first started, it was purely just blogging a website. And that's what I still have. I do still keep up with my website. I will say it's probably not as consistent as it used to be, but because now there's just so many platforms. But what it is, whatever genre you're specialized in, mine tends to be beauty and fashion, but I do also share other things, lifestyle, home improvements, things that just are what I enjoy in my life. I just share a lot of images and outfits, reviews, things that I like. I either give a review or I talk about it, or I'll show how I'm wearing the clothing and put an outfit together. And at the end of the website or article, I'll put all the links where you can purchase the entire outfit, the products, everything that I was just talking about. So if somebody goes on and is like, I'm kind of Olia's body type, I like her style, I don't have time to shop, I like this outfit, I just want to just click and buy. They can easily just click all those links, buy it. And typically what happens is there's a little affiliate link with that, all those links that I created myself. And if somebody clicks on that and purchases, I make a very small commission off of it. It is very small. But if enough people purchase, it adds up. You do enough blog posts, it adds up. But that is, for me, not where I make my money. Some people do. Some people make, it depends. That's why every blogger or influencer is different. Some people just purely do commission-based sales. I tend to prefer working with brands where I do sponsorship. So if, for example, Nordstrom came to me and said, we want to promote our fall sweater line of turtlenecks, I don't know. They would say, hey, we want to work with you to promote this. What would your rate be? We would one blog post, one Instagram post, and 2 story posts or something like that. And I would come back with my rate, or they could offer me a rate. And then we kind of just go back and forth on negotiations, come up with a contract. And then they tell me what they are looking for. You know, I can pick the outfits from their site, but it just might include the products that they want to promote. And then I create the content. I send it back to them. It's like a whole process that people don't see. It has to go through approvals. It has to go through a lot of stuff. And then once everything is approved, you get it on your blog or your Instagram, and then everything goes live and they get the content up. They can put marketing dollars behind it. They can do Instagram ads to promote it as well. So it's like a whole process. And I always explain it to people. Think of it as back in the day, we used to watch commercials a lot. We used to read magazines. And nowadays, we don't do any of that. There's Netflix and we don't really go buy magazines anymore. So this is like the modern day way to advertise. It's just everybody's scrolling on their phone, and just once in a while, you just see this little ad pop up, or you just are following somebody who might give you like a little ad. And so it's just ways that brands are marketing to people who have followers, I guess. So that's kind of the whole premise behind what I do.
How are you getting the brands to work with? Are they approaching you or do you have to approach them?
So I don't do any outreach anymore. I would say at the beginning I did when I was first starting out. I did reach out to a lot of brands, mostly just to kind of get on their radar, show them, hey, I'm a blogger. I just maybe post, or maybe if I posted an outfit wearing one of their pieces, I'd say I just wore, I posted something wearing you guys, and here's a link. Or I just did a review on this face cream. Here's this link. And so just to kind of get my name out there, I would sometimes just send an email to try to put myself out there. But now I just get reached out to, which is, it's really amazing. It's great.
Yeah, it's great because then you get to just focus on content and relationships versus the scrappy this that you were doing.
It is nice. And I will say, like, sometimes there's a brand that I'm like, ooh, I forgot about them and I really want to work with them again. And I'll do an outreach and say, hey, like, haven't talked to you guys in a while. Do you want to work on something for fall? And do you want to do this? And sometimes that does spark their interest. And they're like, oh my gosh, we haven't chatted in a long time. Yeah, we're actually working on this campaign. So I'm not saying I never do, but it's just sometimes I just get kind of overwhelmed with a lot of different projects going on in that moment that I'm just focused on working in that moment. And then I'll get new emails. So, but when I'm in like a little lull or like a slow period, that's when I'll go kind of in and I'll look and I'll be like, oh, I should reach out to this person or this person. And I'll kind of do a little outreach myself.
And when you're doing outreach, are you doing anything over the phone or is it over email or probably Instagram? Are you?
Yeah, it's usually email and Instagram.
Okay. Cool. And so when you did that for the first time, were you scared of getting rejected or were you just kind of knowing that was part of the process?
Yeah, I knew that I'm probably not going to get responses from, and to be honest, I put it in my head, no one's going to respond to me. But if one person responded to me, that's great. And that's probably what happened. I could have written 50 to 100 people and I might have gotten one response, so that's how it goes. But you got to start somewhere and it just, one is better than none. And then when you get one, then one pays attention, then another pays attention later. And it just kind of builds that way.
And how do you think you got that mindset to not have that outcome needed? It was more just knowing that you had to put that work in and reach out to people and not knowing who was going to respond back. Because I think some people would get caught up in that, or they might reach out to 3 people and say, oh, it didn't work. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, I think because I wanted it so badly. You have no idea how much I wanted to do blogging or influencing. And at the time, it wasn't really even a job, but I just wanted to do this for brands so badly. And I wanted to be my own boss so badly. And I just saw this like vision of what I wanted to do. And I was like, I am not going to stop until I get it. And I think I just had that mentality of, it's fine. There's going to be some others. Like, I'm going to keep going. And I would see some girls online. It wasn't the way it is now. Now there's tons of influencers. It was much, much less. They said Instagram wasn't around. So it was more bloggers. And I would see these girls who were working with brands. And I was like, oh, how are they getting these brands? Like, I need to get these brands. So it was almost like motivation for me. I was saying, if this girl can do it, I can do it. And so I was just using that as like fuel. And I was, okay, their photos are better than mine. So now I'm going to try to get my photos better. What are they doing that I'm not doing? And I would go hard and I would be critical of like, okay, what can I improve? What do I need to do? And I would do it. And I still do it to this day. I'm really hard on myself to the point where my mom will say, Olia, you've got to stop being so hard on yourself. And it's a good and a bad thing because sometimes you get too hard on yourself where you never think you are doing well. And I could be working with a bunch of brands and I'm still like, well, I didn't get that brand and I'm still not good enough for this one. And I think that's where a lot of these days, Instagram and social media is it can be a little bad because now we're playing a lot of comparison games. And so that's a little dangerous too. So you just got to find a little balance and get that mindset.
And it sounds like you are just keeping a really open mind too, to see in ways that you can improve and learning from others too, which I really like.
Yeah. I always look at other people who are very successful and working with doing what you want to do. So whether it's like you said, somebody's doing food blog or doing food blogging and another one doing this, like wherever you want to go, look at someone that you like that is doing it successfully and kind of look at it and be like, okay, what are they doing that is maybe making them so successful? Why are they successful? Rather than just, sometimes we get critical, like, oh, there's this and we just get upset or annoyed. But I kind of look at it and I'm like, why are they? What are they doing? And then saying, all right, so maybe I need to change this. Maybe I can improve this. And then it actually ends up working well for you.
Do you remember how many people you had to reach out to before you got a yes?
Oh my gosh. Probably, I mean, as far as getting a paid opportunity, that took a little while. But I mean, I got some free products and stuff. It probably 50 people or something.
And why did you want it so bad? Like, did you identify what it was that, besides being your own boss, that made you really want to do this?
I think once I started working with my mom as an esthetician, I got really into the whole beauty world. And I think because I hated what I was doing in accounting and the whole beauty world was making me just so happy. And then I started blogging and blogging was making me even happier. I would come home from the esthetician job and eat dinner and then at home on my laptop for hours. And I would just work on that. And it was fun for me. I just enjoyed it. On my weekends, I wouldn't even hang out with friends. I would just love working on my blog. It was just something that I just dove into and just made me so happy. It was almost just finding a hobby that you just love so much. And so I think I saw this opportunity to where I could have a hobby be my career. And I was like, I need this. I need this to be, it's like I almost found like my passion and I just didn't want it to slip away. So I think I was like, I need to hold on to this and I need to try to find a way to make this work. So it was like I had to work for it hard. And I think that's what I wanted to do.
Where do you think you got your drive from?
Definitely my mom. She is one of the hardest working people. And I used to, when I was younger, tell her like, oh, you shouldn't work so hard. And you're always working and you're always this and you're always that. And it's so funny because now she will tell me it and she'll say, oh, remember when you used to tell me I'm working so hard? And because now I'll say I'm working. And she'll just always kind of come back to me and say, and she's like, now, you know, when you love what you do, it just happens. And yeah, she's a very, very hard worker. And she's always made me learn that it's important to be independent in life and it's very fulfilling. And so that's what I've always kind of seen with her and wanted to create on my own. And it's very motivating. To this day, she still does it. So I wanted to create the same kind of life for myself.
And then I was wondering, where do you get your ideas from? Because it sounds like you have so many ideas with being able to take new pictures and putting things in all the stuff you're doing. But like, how do you channel that to come out?
Yeah. So sometimes it is a little hard. Like sometimes I'll sit there and be like, what do I want to write about now? I don't know. Things just kind of come to me. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll just put some outfits together that I like. I'll get new outfits and I'll just put those together. And then I'll talk about why these certain outfits together. So that can be different things. Or I can talk about, I'll just sometimes be like, oh, now I want to talk about skin or makeup. And I don't know, I go through weird moments where then I'm into my house and then I kind of just get motivated by whatever I'm into in that moment. So if I'm like in a big house renovating process in those few months, like that's what my content is focused on. If I'm into working out a ton, that's what my focus kind of is. So I feel like people kind of go on journeys with me, and I think they kind of like it though, because they end up following you. When they find you, they follow you for some kind of content that they find. But then once they really follow you for a long time, they end up enjoying learning who you are. And so they love learning, oh my gosh, yeah, I've followed you since you were, I have people who followed me since I owned my first place. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's crazy to see where you are now versus where you are or where you were before. So it's really funny. People just get invested in your life. And so I think they enjoy just seeing different stages. They don't care if you're talking about your dog or your home renovations or your makeup. So I think I just go with whatever I'm feeling.
You're following your curiosity, and then it's leading you to be curious too.
Right. But you kind of want to teach them what you're figuring out too. Like, oh, if I can teach you a better tip that I learned. So if you ever try to do this, then it's better.
Totally. How did you grow your followers? Did you just do it organically by just people sharing your messages?
Yeah. So I will say at the time when I started, like I said, Instagram was very, very, I don't know if it even had started or it was very new. Like no one was using it. So when I did start, it was so easy to grow. I guess you can say that about many platforms. I remember when TikTok first started too. I didn't start on, I really don't have a TikTok, but I know people who've gone on and they've blown up when they signed up at the beginning. For any platform, right? When you just jump on right at the beginning, you can really grow fast because they don't have all these weird algorithms in place, and it's so much better. I wish it was still like that. Instagram was the same. And then after Facebook bought Instagram, a lot of things changed. They put in a lot of these algorithms. They wanted people to pay for ad space, and that way people would find your content more if you bought ads and all this stuff. That's not to say you can't still grow. It's just much more difficult. So when I first started, people would find you so easily. You would do hashtags and you'd be found very easily. And we would do, I remember a bunch of bloggers would get together and do these little giveaways, and it would just be really fast way to grow. So there was that, but now I will say it's very hard to grow. I wish I could grow a lot faster, but it's watching a pot of water boil. It's very slow, and it drives many of us crazy. But it is what it is. Everything great. They always change.
Yeah. And that's leading to my next question is how do you handle that when it's stagnant? What do you say to yourself, or do you have a thing that you do?
Yeah, it's frustrating, but you just keep doing it. You still have I still have my followers that follow me, and I still grow. It's just a lot slower, but I just kind of figure I'm still doing what I love. And whether you have 1 million followers, you have 500,000, or you have 1 or 10 followers, if people are enjoying what you're putting out, it's fulfilling and it's fun. So I think you have to what I've been better about is not getting so caught up on that follower count and just putting things out that you love, that make you happy and that other people will love. Because it's really easy to just get sucked into, oh my gosh, I'm not growing. Because you might be growing, but it's just, you're not growing in that one Instagram number. It's just so silly, because that's why I always keep my blog around, because it's a website. Nobody can take that away from me because I own that website. But say one day Instagram, I don't know, they want to take that away. What if that doesn't exist one day? I have nothing. There's no more followers. So my website is always going to be my website. So if I can have people visit my website, that's a great thing. I always say, try to have something that is yours, that you can drive people to through those social media platforms. So if you're using TikTok or Instagram or something, but you're driving them to your website or, something else that is yours, that's always the best option, I think.
And what do you think's been the hardest thing for you to get through?
To be honest, I will say the comparison on social media has been probably one of the most difficult things. It has broken me down very many times. Sounds really silly, but it's so true. There's a lot. I didn't grow up with this stuff when I was in school and when I was a kid. We didn't have any of this stuff. So just as an adult, there's so much comparison on social media. And as much as you just want to be hard about it and it doesn't get to me, it does. And then with this being my career, my job, I do this thing where I look at other people, which I shouldn't. And you just look and you say, why did this person get this? Or why is this? Or their life is so perfect, which it's not. Everybody has to realize social media is the best part of what everybody wants to show. Nobody is going to post the worst part of their lives, but it still gets to you. So that's probably been the hardest part of what I do.
And if you had one piece of advice for the listeners on doing the thing, what would it be?
My best piece of advice would be, if you ever want to make a change in your life, 1,000% do it. Because if I had never made a change, I would still be miserable in my accounting job and just kind of going day by day and never being in the position that I'm at. And I think that everybody in any part of their lives or time in their lives can make a change and do what they want to do. It is hard and challenging, but I think that life is just too short not to try to do what you want to do. And I think you just always, and I know that's so cliche, but it's so true. You always have to just go for what you want, because once you find it, life just makes so much more sense.
That's beautiful. And if you could share your website, your Instagram, all your stuff for anyone.
So my website is loveolia.com. So love, like LOVEOLIA.com. My Instagram is at Olia, OLIA, Majd, my last name, MAJD. And I would say those two are my main platforms.
Thank you so much for coming on, Olia. This was amazing. I just think I learned a lot, and I know that the listeners are going to be super inspired by you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Thanks for listening to the Do the Thing podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, but even more, we hope you'll be inspired to do the thing. Do you have a burning question on doing the thing that you'd like answered? How about an inspiring do the thing story of your own that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear all about it. Just leave us a voice message at dothething.callcast.co or email us at hello@dothethingpodcast.com.